NTA International News.
President Buhari meets with leadership of the National Assembly, the first since his return from vacation. Information and Culture Minister echoes federal government's determination to operate an open system to enable actors take common position in the interest of all. More associations seek registration as political parties before the Independent National Electoral Commission. Hello there and a warm welcome to NTA International News at this time. My name is Justin Bemunyet. Glad to have you join us. Issues relating to national unity, stability and socio-economic development took center stage as President Muhammadu Buhari granted audience to presiding officers of the National Assembly. It was the first formal engagement between the President and the leadership of the Parliament since returning from his vacation in the United Kingdom. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the details.
Senate President Bukola Saraki and the Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara arrived at the State House at about 12:15 Tuesday afternoon. The two presiding officers of the National Assembly were immediately ushered into the President's office, where they interacted with the Nigerian leader behind closed doors. Details of their discussions, which lasted about 40 minutes, were not made public, but Senate President Bukola Saraki told newsmen that apart from formally welcoming the President back from vacation, their meeting also centered on critical national issues.
He engaged us very well and we discussed issues of national importance. I'm well happy to see him back at the office and he's doing his work. The budget is ongoing, the economy, the things that we passed in the absence, the convention of the CGN, issues to do with the Euro bond, all general issues that are pending, and some other issues that are the issue of ambassadorial that is due, the stability in the Niger Delta, a whole range of issues we covered in this short period of time.
It is one government, there's no division. If he fails, we all fail. And so it is in realization of this that we always extend the needed support to ensure that he succeeds so that our government will be rated as a successful government.
Senate President Bukola Saraki and Speaker Yakubu Dogara, who were accompanied to the State House by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly matters, Kawu Samaila, assured the nation that everything is being done towards ensuring that the 2017 budget is passed before the end of this month as earlier promised. The Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, also met President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed has again re-echoed the federal government's determination to operate an open system where both state and joint state actors come together and take a common position in the interest of the people. Anthony Forson reports that the minister stated this at the meeting of the National Steering Committee of the Open Government Partnership in Abuja.
The Open Government Partnership is an initiative that aims to secure concrete commitment from national and subnational ends to promote transparency, empower citizens, fight corruption, and promote technologies that will strengthen governance. It was formed in 2011 with a membership strength of over 70. Nigeria is a signatory to the Charter.
I think this government has shown beyond doubt its commitment to transparency. To me, the beauty of including non-state actors is for them also to see the challenges government is facing. This is something when you are from there, from the outside, you think everybody in government is just daft, everybody is just corrupt, or everybody in government is just inept. But when you are now part of the platform, you become part of the solution.
Mr. President has given commitment to open government partnership, and what we are trying to do here is to package.
Minister of Communication Adebayo Shitu said Nigeria is long overdue for e-governance.
E-government would ensure that you don't even need paper in government processes.
It also means that the policies of government must be one that carries the citizens alongside. And we're not just talking about federal here, we're talking about both the state and local communities.
The Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum said the governors are ready to key into the program. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
86 associations are currently seeking registration as political parties before the Independent National Electoral Commission. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, stated this during a quarterly meeting with all registered political parties in Nigeria. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Kudu reports.
The quarterly consultative meeting was for INEC officials and the 40 registered political parties to discuss ways of collaboration in improving the nation's electoral process. INEC chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu welcomed 10 political parties who were registered but readmitted after court judgments. The meeting, he explained, focuses on INEC strategic plan in 2017 to 2021, internal party democracy, party financing, and continuing voter registration exercise, among other electoral issues.
Violence in the conduct of party primaries in particular and election in general, internal party democracy, and due diligence in the nomination of candidates to INEC for election, the outstanding Anambra Central Senatorial rerun election, and a brief presentation by INEC on new ICT platforms and innovations.
We will continue to support INEC because we are both stakeholders towards building a sustainable democracy in this country.
The meeting later entered into closed session. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the early release of timetable for 2019 general elections by INEC has received commendation and described as an indication of good planning ahead of time. This came to the fore at the joint press conference of civil society groups in Abuja, expressing their concern towards having a credible general elections in 2019. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu completes the report.
The civil society groups were expressing confidence in INEC on the 2019 general elections, however, urged the federal government to expedite action in appointing the resident electoral commissioners in time to enable INEC to prepare wholesomely for credible elections coming in 2019. They noted that at present, only Taraba, Delta, Rivers and Kaduna states have substantive resident electoral commissioners, out of which 3 are also expected to bow out of office by July 2017.
We would like to emphasize that INEC's ability to deliver credible and peaceful 2019 elections will be determined by the level of support and cooperation it enjoys from different stakeholders.
While the Commission is planning for 2019, it is important for stakeholders to remember that the planning and design process would have received a boost with a fully constituted commission.
They appeal to the President to ensure that only persons of unquestionable integrity with experience in electoral policy and administrations are appointed to ensure credible elections in consonance with the change agenda of government. With the successes recorded so far in 2015 elections, observers say it has become imperative, therefore, to build on it for Nigeria to have the desired political culture for the good of the people. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
The 23 INEC electoral officials accused of being complicit in the Rivers State rerun elections will be charged to court on the 7th of April. High Court could not hold Tuesday due to the objection on the jurisdiction of the court. Eternal Justice has the details.
The officials were to have been arraigned on a 7-count charge, but they could not take their plea as the defendant counsel filed an objection on the territorial jurisdiction of the court. After hearing arguments on the stay of plea pending the resolution of the motion, Justice John Soho adjourned the hearing on the application filed by the defendant to the 7th of April 2017.
So, you know, jurisdiction is very fundamental. That has to be resolved first before any step is taken. Otherwise, whatever the court does will be a nullity. So we have to go back and respond to their motion.
The 23 INEC electoral officials are in court following their indictment by the police investigation panel on the December 10, 2016 National and State Assembly rerun elections in Rivers State. The panel led by DCP Damian Okoro submitted its report on the 7th of last month, where it alleged that the officers compromised in their line of duties and the sum of over 111 million naira recovered from them. Aiding of justice, NTA News.
Away from electoral matters now, efforts to disarm cattle rustlers and armed bandits, spearheaded by Zamfara State Government and one division of Nigerian Army, has been yielding fruitful results as more of such persons surrender their arms and other dangerous weapons in Zamfara State, northwest of the country. A statement by the Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Kukasheka, indicated that vigilante and some repentant cattle rustlers and armed bandits from some villages within the area handed over one G3 rifle, 434 Dane guns, 69 locally made pistols, 8 locally made revolvers, 39 locally made multi-barrel pistols, and 36 locally made double-barrel rifles. The weapons were thereafter handed over to the 233 Battalion of 1 Division Nigerian Army in the presence of some Zamfara State government officials and representatives of various security agencies in the state. And still on security, Office of the National Security Advisor, in collaboration with the Nigeria Stability and Reconciliation Program, have held a validation forum to further tackle security threats in the country. The meeting was also to develop a policy framework, a national action plan on preventing and countering violent extremism. Olainka Ojo reports.
Designing any action plan, a framework, is we will ask ourselves, what is the problem?
Since August 2016, the working group has served as a broad-based consultative and multi-stakeholder platform. The framework aims at deepening democracy and governance and ensuring that citizens are involved in finding solutions to some of the challenges faced in Nigeria, particularly threat from violent extremism. The meeting is therefore guided by the United Nations Plan of Action for Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism. Coordinator, Counterterrorism Center, Office of the National Security Advisor, Commodore Yem Musa, said key areas of focus are dialogue and conflict prevention, reconciliation, strengthening governance, engaging communities, gender equality and empowering women, among others.
Developing and implementing a PCV framework with synchronized national effort in engaging, rehabilitating and reintegrating persons associated to violent extremism.
Deputy Program Manager, Results, Nigeria Stability and Reconciliation Program, Priscilla Ankut, commended government's effort in the fight against terrorism and insecurity in the country and urged Nigerians to work closely towards ensuring safer and resilient communities.
This document actually does complement the national security strategy in ways that ensure that there's a specific focus on the issue of violent extremism across Nigeria, looking particularly at the northeast.
The meeting hopes to validate the framework and subject it to further inputs, approval and use. In Abuja, Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Turning now to agriculture, the federal government has commenced production and supply of fertilizer nationwide as part of support initiative for farmers to produce at cheaper prices and boost employment openings for about 2 million farmers. The program is under the Nigeria-Morocco partnership. Musa Babalio has details.
Despite the fact that Nigeria has a number of blending plants with the capacity to produce 4 million metric tons of fertilizer, availability and affordability of the input remain a source of concern to farmers. During the 2015-2016 wet and dry season farming activities, a bag of fertilizer was sold at between 9 and 10,000 naira. The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative was therefore constituted with a view to identifying ways of producing enough and affordable fertilizer to Nigerian farmers. This led to signing of agreement with Morocco on the supply of phosphate, one of the major raw materials for the blending of fertilizer.
We've received 46,200 metric tons for the first batch. Each batch is 46,200 for phosphate, and we have also received 32,000 metric tons of potash from Europe.
Under this agreement, 11 blending plants in the country are expected to produce 1 million tons of NPK fertilizer this year.
Then you have the agro dealers that comes to the plants and buy the fertilizer. They buy from the plant at 5,000 naira. They have 500 naira margin,
A 50 kilogram of the fertilizer is to be sold at 5,500 naira. And any farmer who comes across people selling above the official price should blow his whistle through this number. From Kaduna, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
If you're just joining us, this is the news on NTA International, coming to you live from Abuja, Nigeria. Time to take a break at this time, to return shortly. Please stay tuned.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Thank you for staying with us. Business News is next with Olayinka Ojo.
Welcome to Business News. The steady rise of Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings and build-up of external reserves, which started about 5 months ago, is already under threat from shock arising from the recent fall in oil prices. Nigeria depends on oil sale of 90% of its foreign exchange earnings and 70% of total revenue. However, rising shale oil production in the United States in recent months has dampened production cuts carried out by members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and Russia to shore up prices. Meanwhile, the governor of Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, says the bank cannot allow faceless and criminal-minded people destroy the currency under the guise of a free float, as is being canvassed for. The CBN governor, who noted that it appears there is no basis in our economy fundamentals to support the prevailing exchange rate at the power market, said the only logical explanation to the high rates in the market is that a lot of illegal and criminal activities are being carried out. He said rather than allow illegal activities by this group, whether foreign or local, CBN will make sure they lose money. Before we go, a check on how the equities market fared this Tuesday. And that will be all on the business segment of the news. I am Olayinka Ojo.
The Nigerian Society of Engineers says the quality of engineers produced in the country can be compared to, if not better than, those being patronized elsewhere outside the country. This came to light at the 2017 New Corporate Members Forum in Abuja. Adebola Brucelin Sunday completes the report.
By just being a graduate of an engineering course does not qualify the individual as an engineer.
God built his own world as an engineer.
Guest lecturer Joseph Akinteye and other speakers at the forum therefore urged the engineers to maximize their potentials by contributing to the development of the country.
Government is to recognize indigenous engineers. Many past starters, the only thing there is that they are afraid to finance all this. If we are able to finance, we have the talent.
We love our country, we want to develop our countries ourselves, but we are appealing to the government to give us the opportunity.
Some of the engineers at the forum reiterated their unwavering commitments to nation building.
If you notice this, you see collapse building and all other things happening in these societies. I will do my best even to prevent all these things.
I will work hard to make sure we are more recognized and better placed in this country.
The Nigerian Society of Engineers is the umbrella body of practicing engineers in the country with the mandate of contributing to the infrastructural development of the nation. Adebola Brucelin Sunday, NTA News.
Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu says he will continue to strengthen ties with the private organizations and state governments to bring back the irrigation system to support all year-round farming across the country. The minister was speaking while on a visit to Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State. Musbah Danwahab reports.
Sokoto State boasts of major dams, Goroyo and Shagari. Goroyo Dam, with its massive storage capacity of 976 million cubic meters, is being resuscitated to feed its catchment areas for all year-round farming. The federal government is also expediting work to complete the Shagari Dam and its irrigation project. This is the good news the Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu took to the state governor Aminu Tambuwal. Suleiman Adamu says these projects have potentials to turn around the socio-economic lives of Sokoto people when fully operational, and that's why the federal government is now committed to their completion.
We hope as federal government to increase our total hectarage for irrigation from the current 130,000 hectares of formal irrigation to at least 500,000 hectares by the year 2030, in the next 50 years, inshallah.
I must thank you and commend you under your leadership, by extension the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, for the laudable initiative that you have introduced in ensuring that all of the projects, ongoing projects, are given priority by this current administration.
Aminu Tambuwal says the state government is ready to collaborate where necessary with the federal government to complete all the dam and irrigation projects in the state. From Sokoto, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
COP22 in Marrakesh may have come and gone, but Nigeria's participants are strategizing on how best to implement the outcome of the negotiations. This formed the thrust of the stakeholders' consultative meeting organized by the Department of Climate Change, Ministry of Environment. They were urged to play active roles, share information, and work hard to meet up with the commitment and create momentum for change. Participants at the meeting cut across all MDAs, civil society organizations, legislature, and the academia.
We have to put in place measures, both legislative measures, both projects on the ground that will touch the life of Nigerians. We need to plant more trees. We need to provide water. We need to provide means of cooking so that we will not be chopping down our trees at this alarming rate. That particular roadmap will bring out practical activities that needs to be done across sectors.
We discovered that up till this moment, there hasn't been a law that governs this activity. So the National Assembly has put together a draft bill, that will capture all this.
And for some stories from other parts of the world, Fatima Ali is our guide.
The bereaved families tussled with rescue workers this Tuesday at the site of an Ethiopia rubbish dump where a landslide killed over 60 people, some indicting the government of negligence. Reports indicate that relatives pushed and shoved the handful of emergency workers angrily, accusing them of delays and saying dozens of people were still missing after Saturday's disaster at the dump site in the capital of Addis Ababa. Meanwhile, prosecutors say French presidential candidate François Fillon has been placed under formal investigation over alleged diversion of public funds. The centre-right contender